connecting with me, Amit. Really appreciate that. And secondly, yeah, I mean, my stay was, quite a few years back, right? It's been a
Right,
while.
right, right, right,
Things have changed, and you are more in sync with how things are at the moment over there.
right, right,
From my profile, you may have noticed that my recent experience has a lot to do with Canada, much
right,
less with US. So when I stayed in the US, I used to visit Canada as a tourist. Never
right, right,
knew I would be working for Canada one day.
right, right.
But so yeah, it would be interesting. My whole intention is to pick your brain a little bit,
Sure, sure.
to in any way that can help me make more informed decisions,
Absolutely, absolutely.
going forward. So yeah, we can have this conversation as you want to design it. What do you
Right, right. As I said, it's a conversation, right? So I would like to pick your brain, like what's going into your mind. First of all, that's more important for me, and then I want to give my feedback on that, and then probably that might help you to make a better decision. So number one, Shravik, why, like you're talking about this PhD, is there a reason, like, I said, we are same age almost, married, kids, and all that. Is there a reason why you are looking for a PhD at this point of time? Because you know that, you know, being a 25-year-old and being a 40 is different, right? There has to be certain sort of a urgency when you take that decision, or this is something like always going in your mind. I want to pick that particular point first because that is more important, to be honest with you, than anything else. Your voice is again out. Yeah,
So is this better now? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So pursued my undergrad in
Hmm.
1999 to 2003,
Right,
my whole intention at that point of time was, after my undergrad, I want to straight away go into a PhD. And hence, I had signed up. It was my first time in 1998. Sorry, January 1999 is when I started my undergrad in a spring semester, right?
right.
So that was my first time in the US.
Hmm.
Although, I was brought up in several countries because my father was in the Indian Foreign Service.
Okay, okay, okay.
So
Got it.
several, my before I went to the US, my only exposure with American students or friends that I had was in Switzerland when I did my high school. Okay,
Like
so
in the embassy schools or whatever.
correct,
Right.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Got it.
was an international school.
Right. Right.
Uh, and early on in my, when I was more younger, my father's postings were more or less near India. So I
Mm.
attended a lot of Indian schools, like
Okay. Okay.
Indian school in Bahrain. A
Okay.
lot of the
Okay.
mid schools have the Indian CBSC board, right?
Got it. Got it.
So sorry, I'm starting a little early so that you get the entire picture. So when I started my undergrad, I signed up for economics because that was the strongest subject in my high school. Uh, but I changed to communications and emerging technology and multimedia because I used to create websites as a hobby.
Right. Right.
Am I still audible?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. All
breaking.
good. Yeah. No. No. All good.
Yeah.
Right.
So my intention was, as soon as I finish my undergrad, I will straight away go for a PhD.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it. Hmm.
But 2003, what happened is, when I graduated, I did a few internships before I graduated in New York City for Sony Music Entertainment and Wyeth Pharmaceuticals, all of that. Okay,
Right. Right.
so I know two different industries, but they were more or less in the communication field, okay,
Hmm.
marketing domain.
Right. Right.
So when I graduated, I changed my mind again. I said that PhD, I'm too young. I'm only 23 years old. Uh, I will give it a shot in the private industry. So I did a couple of job. These were not like really full-time jobs for many years, but I even moved to Mumbai
Right.
to work in the ad field.
All right. Right.
which lasted like maybe 6 to 8 years. Sorry, 6 to 8 months rather. And then
Mm-hmm.
again, my mind went, okay, those 6 to 8 months in my job role in the ad world, I was seeing that no, I needed to enhance my business skills because I had a lot of client meetings to go for, and it was not the same things like what I learned. It was not in sync with my hobby, which is designing websites. I had to know the nitty-gritties of what the client wants in a website, how the graphic has to be designed, you know, in what budget, which I did not really have a flair for at that point of time. So I went pursued the MBA,
All right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But my passion, my that conscious thing about doing the PhD,
Was always
you
there,
know,
probably.
was always in my subconscious state all
Got it.
along,
Got it.
which is, I may have missed the boat now,
Mm-hmm.
but or it's unrealistic at this point of time in my life. But uh, again, time and again, when I, get when I hit a stalemate in my
Mm-hmm.
career,
Mm-hmm.
okay. For instance, right now, I'm very satisfied in my job role right now. You
Right.
see,
Right. 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 Right.
salary wise, even during the COVID times, I'm lucky, touch wood, the
Right.
paychecks
Right.
coming in.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
Uh,
that. You
you
know
know,
what the word. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm. It's not you. Just I'm blessed too.
yeah, so
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
yes, but again, it is, if I look at it overall, my last 5 years with the organization I'm working at right now
Mhm.
is the best place that I've worked.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, it even tops Sony Music Entertainment and
Okay. Other companies that you
CUNA
work for.
Mutual, in Madison, Wisconsin.
Right. Right.
So, again,
I mean,
you asked me.
what I'm saying is, it.
Mhm.
I mean, I may not be doing justice to ask this question also,
No,
because
no,
it
no,
could be very
please.
personal. It could be very personal also, because as you say, if it's your passion, it's always that in your mind, and now you are thinking, it's a very valid reason. Only thing I was thinking is because there are very, very, very few people that think about that at this stage of their career
I
and
see. Hmm.
personal life, because
Hmm.
not many people, when I talk to students, and when I was a student and when you were a student, you can realize that we don't understand the actual problem that we go through in your life, in your career, doesn't come from our professional life. It comes from our personal restrictions, and
Yes.
then we realize that later on in our life, not before. So whenever I talk to a student, I try to tell them this thing, but I can imagine they don't get it because I didn't get it. So I
Hmm.
don't blame them. But talking to you, I think this is a very valid question, is that
Right.
we have to look through. But having said that, I had friends who were in US, who were married, had kids, and did PhD. That's
Hmm.
put it this way. I think the only thing I would say, that if you are financially stable
Hmm.
personally, I would say for you to take this decision is not difficult decision, and will not be a challenging decision too, because in US, unlike India and US, you can do things whenever you want, whatever you want, and you
True.
will be treated not differently,
Correct.
right? So as I
Yeah.
said again, if you are financially stable, if my dad is making $1 million a year, I
Hmm.
probably didn't have to do the work what I'm doing. I can do what I want to do. That's what we are talking about. Like, if you want
Yeah.
to do. So that is, I think, the only restriction that probably comes at that stage. If I have
Yeah.
if I have like a $10 million in my bank, then I can do whatever I want. But
Sure.
if,
Yeah.
like in my case, I can tell you, I have to work because I have to feed my family, I cannot
Correct.
take that decision, right? I have to work because I need a paycheck. So I think that is the only question that you need to ask at this stage of your career. That's
Hmm.
all. But if you say, I'm fine, I'm well, I have a good bank balance, I'm doing this just for doing it, but I really want to do what I want to do, then of course
Mm.
go ahead, take that decision, because trust me, your life would be much better. If you're making $10 right now, you will be making $100 later on. That's very sure. Let me go through your questions, and probably we can get into more discussion there. So you talked about, PhD in global affairs and all that. To be honest with you, looking at your background, looking at where you work right now, and I don't want to name the company and everything, I would say this is probably the best thing that you can do personally, because as I said, um, one thing is one that doing a PhD in mechanical engineering or chemistry or something, we are talking about human affairs here, right? So it's not about doing PhD, because in PhD or in MBA, which is more of a human set skill, and I started doing my MBA now later on. I realized there's a difference between doing an MBA and a PhD in sciences, because an MBA or a PhD in public policy affairs is more of a practical thing. It's more practical. So your experience adds to it. So when you do your PhD or an MBA, and if you have an experience, that adds a value. You are not treated as if you are a fresher. It doesn't start from zero. That's my point. So if you go through do that, I can tell you right away that you will be valued much more, especially where you are right now. This is the topic that I would choose to. There's no doubt in my mind. And as I said, you will be treated very differently. You will be valued, and the position probably you will apply will be much higher positions, not like like a startup position and so forth. So, as I said, that's what the difference I see, PhD in a STEM field versus fields like that. And the same thing goes for an MBA. And you can imagine people who are 50s, they do executive MBA, then they rise up. Part of the reason too. And, that's the whole thing.
Right.
So in this
So,
particular thing, that's probably I would tell that I think this is the right topic for you.
mm,
Looking at your background, I think you will be valued much more, because trust me, what will happen is, and what I see in my MBA too, is it's not like you learn something different there or whatever. I think you learn the skill set or the tool set, and especially the networking, because
yeah.
these PhDs and these MBAs at that stage, which are executive MBAs or which are working professional MBAs or PhDs they are very practical. You will be working with a government person like senator or something. You will be working with someone. You will be you will be doing a lot of groundwork, which I think a job person does, to be honest with you, and then evaluating it, and probably can contribute a lot more than a fresher. Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
No, so if I'm to understand, so in your opinion, the choice of the field, which is global affairs,
Right.
is apt.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And
Considering your background, what you
yes,
do, yeah,
and secondly, what you mentioned about the PhD. So would you? I'm going
right.
to
Go
go
ahead.
back a little bit.
Mhm.
So in your, would you recommend at this point of time I go for a master's or a PhD
Here's the thing.
in global affairs?
Right, right, right. But
Because
here,
I'm also looking, see, 10 years from now, right?
right,
So as
absolutely,
far as settlement is
right.
concerned.
Oh yeah, yeah. But here's the thing I would say, and I will also put dollar value to that. Like
Okay.
how much I'm gonna make, because money is important, right? We can't
Yes.
say,
Yeah.
okay, nobody likes to live like a Sudama. We want to make
Right.
money. So my point here is, I would say if that is the case and this stage of your career, doing an MBA in international affairs probably make more sense than a master's.
So a second MBA, you mean, but with a different
Yeah,
specialization, because
yeah, yeah.
I
But
already have an MBA,
yeah, yeah. But
right?
what I'm saying, if you're gonna go for an MBA, I would then also make sure that I go to the top schools. I'm not gonna go to like B. I'm
Hmm.
gonna go A. This is the must thing. That there is no
Hmm.
compromise in that at this stage.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
going for. I'm gonna shoot for Wharton's, Harvard's, Stanford's, Berkeley's, MIT's. This is what I'm
Hmm.
going to shoot for, because
Got
trust
it.
me, that's where you're going to get a value. Because I can tell you, here's the reason why I say so. I go to Ohio State for my MBA,
Hmm.
which is like top
Hmm.
10 schools or the top 20 schools, right?
Right.
And look at the salaries, right? The outgoing salary for a full time is like 95,000. I make much more than that. For me, doing an MBA is because my company is paying for it. I like somebody pays for study. Why can't do it? It's free, right? And I don't have to worry about that. I'm doing just to learn a skill set, just to do new things, because I know that once I have that, I probably have much more value. And what I have, I'm also thinking what I want to do in next 2 or 3 years in my career. You know what I mean? But in your case, I would say, because you will be paying money from your pocket, if you look at the salaries of these top schools, which I mentioned, they are 150, 180, 190. So you need to understand that too. That's extremely important. Just don't go for an MBA for anywhere. You need to go, because at this point of time, that's where you will get the value for your money. The return of investment is extremely important to you, because we are, as I said, not 25-year-old. We need to think about money, because as I said, we have a family. That's the reason why I said my questions up before that. So make sure, I think the what you are choosing is perfectly fine. And why I say that we are talking about the second MBA, the reason I say so is because you look at where you used to work, what you did had nothing to do with what you do now. It has changed also, right? So whether that MBA is going to help you just for a degree, I'm not sure. But
Yeah.
right now you need to revive yourself. You are saying that I'm going to churn myself and come out as something, and then that MBA is probably also gives you a jump start in looking for a job right away, and so forth. Yes, you mentioned about this OPT thing, right? Because I think you have used your OPT, if I'm not wrong, master's OPT. If is it correct or not?
Yeah.
Right, right,
Twice. Yeah. Yeah.
right. So
Amit, your video's frozen, but yeah,
is
now
it?
it's back on. Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah, I've used up my OPT twice, once after the undergrad, and
Hmm.
the second time with after my
Masters.
MBA.
Yeah.
So
I mean, here's the thing,
yeah, yeah. So again you're saying an MBA rather than a Master of Science in Public Policy or Global Affairs.
I mean, because MBA is much more professional degree in that sense. That's what I'm saying. And I
Okay.
think the other thing, as I said to you, masters. If you're going for a masters, why don't go for an MBA? Because the return of investment, I believe, will be much higher. That's a bigger thing. And let me tell you another thing which I said before is, I would say the only reason I will go for an MBA if I am in your place, if I am financially backed up, because it's a long-term commitment, and then you have to fight for jobs or whatever. I'm pretty sure you will be fine. But as I said to you, it's 5 years, 6 years, who knows how much time it's going to take. You have to make sure that you have bread in your table, and you don't have to worry about it.
Correct. And it's
That's
fine. It's a huge financial commitment. Yeah.
I
And
don't think it's a financial commitment, because usually for PhDs you will get a scholarship, but it's not enough that you can feed your family. That's the thing.
right. No, for PhD, yeah, I may get a certain tuition remission, but
Right.
I can still benchmark, let's say some funds to live, right?
No, that's what I'm
But
saying. See, here's the
but for
thing.
an MBA, I would have to completely take up a bank loan or something of that sort, because my
But he,
savings will not suffice.
right, but I would also tell you that you may get a very good chance of getting a scholarship or a waiver in your fees. I spoke to a lot of students, and I know a lot of students who get that too. Here's the thing. It is very possible, because of your experience, and if you choose a right school and a right program, you may got 100% scholarship. It's very possible.
I
And the
see.
reason I
Okay.
say, because I'm telling you what is the best for you, considering, and you don't spend 5 6 years as a PhD, and you finish in 2 years, and then you get along with your life.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So that's where and as I said, it's for a fresh MBA graduate or a prospective MBA student, they probably have to go for some sort of loan or something. But in your case, because of your experience and so forth, it is very possible that if you choose a right program, and I think the topic you have selected is right and everything, it's very likely that you may get 50% waiver, 80% waiver, 90% waiver. If you get lucky, you can get 100%. It's very possible. And then, as I said, you don't have to worry too much about bread and butter because it's going to be done in 2 years rather than 6 years. That's a long time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So this is what I would definitely tell you. Yeah. And as far as your question about whether Canada is better, yeah, one thing I would definitely say that other thing is as of now, and I say this in my other videos also, as of now, as an Indian, if you have a master's degree, getting a green card is almost zero for a master's degree. The chances are almost zero. For a PhD, the chances are better. It's like if you have a PhD and a good package, citations and all that,
yeah,
you can get your green card in 3, 4, 5 years. But what for a master's? There is no way as of now. Having said that, you can also understand that there are probably million or more than probably much more students who are working already as a master. So, that's also a data. It's not like you will be like, oh, I don't have a green card. How should you? I mean, dude, it's not like everyone has a green card. Many students start as a master's and they are working in Apple, Google. So what? Like I will be work McKinsey, Deloitte. I have cousins who work for Deloitte and all that. They have masters. They do. So they are going along with their life. They have houses, everything. So yes, there will be this green card thing, but it's not the end of the world. You can have still have a life. And then many students then choose to go to Canada from there and that sort of thing, if whatever it is. But as far as your other question was like, is Canada is better than US and all that? My simple answer to that with Canada and US and India, when people ask me why I choose, can I go to Canada? My question is, what's wrong with India? But if they say, I want to come to US, then I don't say anything. The reason is very simple. See, in US, the opportunity pool is, the reason why people flock to US is very simple, because the opportunity pool here is huge. I mean, you can live in Canada, but what are you going to do there? Where are the jobs, right? You can go to Tanzania. There's the same thing, right? My point here is that, again, then better I would stay in India, because as I said, what is the opportunity pool? Unless and until there are people who says we have been discriminated, this and that, that's their personal issue. I won't go to Canada for job. I would come to US because US, I can do so many things. Because as I said, the simple reason why people flock to US is because no matter what skill set you have, you can make your life here. Let's, for example, if you know how to dance better, what you do in India? Nothing. What you do in Canada? Nothing. But in the US, you can probably make by dancing $1 million, right? That's what the US is all about. Every skill set has a value here, right? So that's why, as I said, the opportunity pool is so big. No matter what your skill set is, you can find something here, unlike any other country. And that's why people flock here. They want to come here still. There are questions about whether we want to live here, how is the situation and all that. And because of what we read in the news and all that, I think my simple answer to that is that situation has always been there in US. Whether you come 20 years back, 15 years back, I have spoken to people who came here in their 60s during Vietnam War and all that. I mean, they were saying, oh, this was place at that time was shit. I mean, it's the same story, but everyone wants to come here still. So I don't even consider that. There are a lot of being buzzes about people who wants to live here and all that. That has nothing to do with people who wants to study, who wants to read, who wants to make their life. For them, it's the same thing. Life moves on. So I don't even listen to those news and all that. I think I have never faced it. I have fought for it. I had my problems. I got laid off 2 times in my life, but I fought for again and moved on. So simple story. I mean, that's a simple thing. That's what life is all about, right? So, I can't blame that
Sure.
political
Yeah.
situation or this situation. That's always going to be, there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that's everywhere in the world, I would
Exactly. I mean,
say.
in
Not
India
just,
also, right?
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
India, I
Yeah.
have friends who
Yeah.
lost their jobs. So it's like, absolutely. I mean,
Right.
as he said here, but still, as I said, you can still find, if you want to work here and do a decent living. I think still, I think the US is the best place to live. You have been to a lot of countries. I have worked with various countries. I have traveled and all
Yeah.
that. Still I find, like, there is no point. And talking to students
Yeah.
also now at various countries and all that. I mean, other thing, as you know, like US is very heterogeneous. It's not a homogeneous culture. So you find you can live anywhere you want, right? Unlike you go to Japan, you feel a foreigner.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so I think, as I said, Shavik, this is what I have for you, like what I'm thinking. But as I said, in your case, the difference there is that whether to take a decision for a PhD versus masters and not. A lot of is has the number one thing I will say is the financial one. As I said, that's your personal thing. You have to evaluate that, right? And if you are fine with that, if you say, okay, I can do that risk, I can take that risk, or I don't have to worry about, then I think it's definitely worth. And your background, what you have done, will bring a lot of value. You are not going to start from zero, unlike many students and so forth. Your voice is again close. Your voice. Yeah.
I'm really sorry about this, but
No, no.
so the strategy of going to Canada in a top school for an MBA, let's say University of Toronto for a global affairs, and then being available for even Canadian as well as US jobs is not not
No, no.
as worthwhile as directly applying at let's say a George Washington or a Georgetown,
Right, right.
right?
So, yeah, yeah. So my answer to that would be, if you're getting a scholarship, please go
Mm-hmm.
ahead.
Okay.
It's simple. See, here's the thing. As I said to you, I'm going to tell you again and again this thing. Y- At this stage, you should put money first. Number one.
Okay.
Number two, interest. Unlike 25-year-old, you
Got you.
for you and me, as I said, if we have to worry about money, that's our number one thing. Who is giving me free education?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the way I will put it. If I go to Georgetown and they are asking me $180,000 as
Yeah.
a fees, and if I'm going for Ohio State, they're saying scholarship full, I will go to Ohio State. Put it this way.
Okay.
As simple as that.
Even though Ohio State is ranked lower than Georgetown,
That's okay,
doesn't matter.
because 180, it's
Yeah.
like a second mortgage. You, that 40-year-old, is
Yeah.
not worth. Yes, you will be paying till
Right.
70. So don't
I
do
know.
that.
I know. Go to the grave carrying a debt ridden. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's why I say that, that's why this
Yeah.
discussion is so interesting, because we are talking about totally different way here, and I'm glad that I can tell you this thing, because nobody else can even think of like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I'm not saying go to mid-tech university in Tennessee. I'm not saying that. Again, don't
Right.
get
Right.
me.
Of
But
course.
you can make a conscious decision. Ohio State is not a bad school, but it's not like Georgetown for law, right? So, but they're asking me 200K. I'm not going to give at this stage. I'm going to
Yeah.
probably go Ohio State, get 120K salary rather than 190K, because that 120K, probably in 5 years I will work hard and go to 190. You know what I mean? That's how I will think.
Got it. Yeah.
But then I will have no debt. I'm good.
Yeah.
That's
and
how.
and it does not harm that after Ohio State, or after a certain MBA in global affairs, even if for the next 10, 15 years I'm on a visa status, it
No, I
doesn't,
no, no, it
it,
doesn't.
it's not a problem, right?
Because as I said, you look at the data, right? I mean,
Because
how many
yeah,
people have
sorry.
green cards here, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
trust me, every MBA in last 10 years who graduated, I can bet you none of them will have green card. Last 10 years, all MBAs,
yeah.
none of them have green cards.
Since I
Simple.
left.
Yeah, probably
But
you're
yeah,
right.
yeah,
No, you're
yeah,
absolutely
yeah,
right. Because and the
yeah,
situation has become much worse. So
yeah,
everybody's surviving on H1. So
yeah,
and just then I will be on the same boat like everyone. And it's not like those H1 people are making less. Here's the thing: you can be a homeless citizen or you can be a rich visa. I would prefer a rich visa than a homeless citizen,
That's a
right?
good way of putting it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Very good.
Who cares, man? Here's the good thing about the US, right? Is like you can be a US citizen and you can be homeless, but you are like us, right? We came here with nothing in our pocket, right?
Nothing. Yeah,
and
yeah,
and I sometimes we have these discussions about entitlement. That's what I hate about that. It's like
yeah.
you work hard, you make yourself. I don't cry about things. Um, I, and here's the interesting part of it is if you are good, trust me, the path will become like for me. That's how it has been.
Mm.
I did not came to US that I will one day work for a company or I will get a citizen. I came here because I want to study. Simple as that. Everything
Yeah.
becomes the
That
objective.
was
The
that was
objective.
exactly my thing, even after coming twice, I
Right,
finished for what I had come. And then so after my MBA, I was on an H1 status. When my
right.
OPT expired,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
company filed for the H1. I
H1.
got it. I was lucky enough to get it in 2008, which was like a really, really bad, I mean, I was just lucky, I think.
Yeah, right,
Luck was on my side.
right,
But once that concluded, once that got over, I did not, uh, I saw, I checked for opportunities that might extend my stay.
right,
But
right,
when I saw there was nothing happening because the economy was, down and
right. 9/11
so
happened. Right. Everything.
yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
this was much after 9/11, right?
Oh, yeah,
So
right, right, right,
almost
right,
8 years after
But
9/11, but
2008 was a financial crisis too. That was a
financial
bad time.
crisis, right?
All
So
right.
I at least survived 2 more years after the financial crisis. So,
Absolutely, absolutely.
I take it as a compliment, And then once that concluded, I wrapped up and I
Right.
exited because I did not want to put a red flag in my,
Right, right. No, no, you did the
in
right
my
thing.
stay
Right,
record.
right, right, right.
So,
But Shavik,
anyways,
I think I will give you my final piece of words here.
sure.
I think talking to you, I think I would go for an MBA program and look for who is giving me 100% scholarship because I believe that looking at your background, yes, you have to work a little bit harder on your gate and everything, but you may have a good chance getting full scholarship. And that's a 2 year full scholarship. You can ask your family and go and study. You will, worst come to worst, you will have an education with no mortgage and you can always, if possible, you can always go back to your current job with the degree, but the chances of that is highly unlikely. But
Right.
I still like that idea that you can apply to Canadian schools, MBAs for or whatever. And as I said to you, in my opinion, if you play right, you might be able to get a scholarship. Avoid having any loans. Trust me, that's not gonna. And that is the only reason I would say I would not go for a master MBA or something, and probably go for a PhD. As I said, PhD will be funded, but not enough that your family can survive. So if you have a backup and you want to go for an
And
PhD,
yeah.
that's it. That's how
And
is
at the moment, it's just me and my wife. It's just the two of us. We haven't started a family.
Oh, you
So,
haven't. Okay, yeah. So again,
so,
if you're gonna go for a PhD,
and yeah.
add 5 years to that too.
And a spouse who is a working spouse. Now, if I move to
Yep.
US, as a student, very tough for the spouse to get working permit,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Yep.
Or an
I mean,
EAD.
actually, to be honest with you, now the situation is a little different because let's say if you are on F1, she could be on F2, and I think they can work. You can look at that. They
Okay.
can work. They can work. And
But
let's
at
say,
least as far as Canada is concerned, that I have found out is that a student, as soon as, I'm in a 2-year program, that's
uh-huh,
how long the spouse can also work.
right. I think US is the same. But only thing
Yeah.
I was speaking to a girl actually. I'm going to post her video with the discussion I had with her. She
Okay.
talked me about because of this pandemic and the way people are losing visas and all that.
Yeah.
Canada has put some sort of a hold on green card, first come
Yeah.
first, or something has happened. I mean, you probably
Yeah.
know better than me, but she has said that there is a lot of stress going on in the Canadian immigration side too now. So you
That's
never
true.
know, like, if Trudeau gets out and conservative government comes in, which
Yeah.
may be highly likely because of what he's doing. So you never
Yeah.
know, because the Canada make
True.
a
Yeah. I
similar
mean,
decision.
we can't take these things for granted. I
Oh
know.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 I
Yeah.
mean, that's why I said most of the time I said I don't believe I will do this and this will happen. I believe in what I have in my hand.
Right.
Right.
Right. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Amit. It
Yeah, yeah,
was
not a problem. I hope I make sense. To be honest with you, that's more
you
important.
totally did, and yeah, it's I need sometimes. I'm thankful I found you because sometimes you need this third person view.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
see,
yeah, absolutely.
because like I mentioned to you, so many thoughts going on for years and years and years. Moving from country to country to country, doing job roles to job roles, and responsibilities, personal
Oh yeah, yeah,
responsibilities
yeah.
versus
Yes, yes.
professional responsibility. What
Right.
happens is that, then two camps come up. One is your personal camp,
And
and one is
professional.
your, friend's camp.
Right,
One
right.
says, go for it, man. The other one says that, are you crazy? It's the
Right,
time
right.
for you to become a dad. What are you going to go back to do,
Absolutely, absolutely.
university for? So it's always good to have these, third person view.
As I said, I think you have a still a window. To be honest with you, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tight, but you still have a window as of now. But 5 years down the road,
It
I can tell you one
changes.
thing actually, Shavik, because I have a kid and you don't, and we are at the same married. Having no kid is still you are in honeymoon phase. Trust me. Once you have a kid, forget. Trust me, all this is gonna go away. So the moment you're gonna make that decision, whether should I go out or should I have a kid, that you will stay with that decision. Trust me, it's not gonna happen. Okay, let me have kids and then I'm gonna go. No,
No.
it will not happen. It's a myth.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.